Maya Cortez stood outside the glass doors of Meridian Children's Hospital with nothing but a soaked jacket, a crumpled envelope of medical bills, and a dying phone battery. Inside that building, her 7-year-old daughter Sophia was hooked to machines that breathed for her. Machines that cost more per hour than Maya, made in a week stocking, shelves at the Quick Mart en route line. The doctors had given her a word she couldn't pronounce and a timeline she couldn't accept. Without an experimental treatment, one that insurance had already denied twice, Sophia had maybe 6 weeks, maybe less. Maya had done everything right. She'd worked 2 jobs after Sophia's father left. She'd kept the lights on, kept food in the refrigerator, kept Sophia in clean clothes and good spirits even when her own were crumbling. She had a savings account with $412 in it. The treatment cost $280,000. She didn't know why she was standing outside in the rain. She just couldn't sit in that room anymore and watch her daughter's chest rise and fall with borrowed breath. That's when the black SUV pulled up to the curb. She barely noticed it at first. Cars came and went from the hospital entrance all day long. But this one stopped directly in front of her and the back door opened, and a man stepped out wearing a charcoal overcoat that probably cost more than her car. He was tall, somewhere in his mid-50s, with silver at his temples and the kind of face that looked like it had forgotten how to be surprised by anything. She recognized him the way you recognize someone from a dream. Not immediately, but with a slow, creeping certainty. Daniel Hargrove. The Daniel Hargrove, tech mogul, philanthropist, the kind of billionaire whose name appeared on hospital, wings, and university libraries. His net worth had been on the cover of Forbes 3 times. He was walking past her toward the entrance. When Maya did something she had never done in her 34 years of life, she grabbed a stranger's arm. "Please," she said. Her voice broke on the word like something fragile that had been held together too long. "Please, I know this is insane. I know you don't know me, but please, save my daughter." Daniel Hargrove stopped. His security guard, a broad man in a dark suit, stepped forward instantly. But Daniel raised one hand and the guard went still. Daniel turned and looked at Maya, really looked at her, the way very few people had ever bothered to. Her soaked hair was plastered to her face. Her eyes were swollen from crying. She was shaking, and it wasn't entirely from the cold. "Tell me," he said simply. So she did. Standing in the rain outside Meridian Children's Hospital, Maya Cortez told a billionaire about her daughter's laugh, about the way Sophia collected stickers shaped like animals and stuck them on the refrigerator, about how she'd taught herself to read at age 5 and had recently become obsessed with dinosaurs. She told him about the diagnosis, about the insurance denials, about the experimental treatment at a specialist center in Boston that Sophia's doctor believed could work, had worked in similar cases, but required funding up front, that no bank would loan to a woman with her income and credit score. She didn't cry while she said it. She was past the stage of crying. She spoke like a woman delivering a report on the end of her world, steady and hollow and precise. Daniel listened without interrupting. His assistant hovered nearby with an umbrella, which Daniel ignored entirely even as the rain soaked his overcoat. When Maya finished, there was a silence that felt enormous. "What's her name?" he asked. "Sophia." He nodded slowly, like he was placing the name somewhere safe inside himself. Then he looked at his assistant. "Get Dr. Elaine Marsh on the phone. Right now." He looked back at Maya. "Dr. Marsh runs the pediatric research program at Boston Children's. I've funded her work for 6 years. If this treatment exists, she'll know it. And if Sophia is a candidate, we're going to find out tonight." Maya stared at him. "I don't understand." "You asked me to save your daughter," Daniel said. And for the first time, something shifted in his expression, something that looked almost like old pain. "I'm going to try." What happened over the next 72 hours felt, to Maya, like being lifted out of one life and set down inside another. Dr. Marsh was reached within the hour. Sophia's medical records were transmitted securely to Boston that same night. By the following morning, Dr. Marsh had reviewed everything and confirmed that Sophia was not only a candidate for the treatment, but, in her words, a strong one. The therapy was aggressive and there were no guarantees, but the science was there. The possibility was real. Daniel's foundation covered the cost in full before Maya even signed a single form. He didn't make her apply for anything. He didn't make her sit across from a panel and justify her daughter's worthiness to live. He made a phone call, and then he made another one, and then it was done. But here is the part the internet would later call unbelievable, the part that spread from post to post and brought strangers to tears in their cars and at their kitchen tables. 3 days after that rainy evening outside the hospital, Daniel Hargrove came back, not with a camera crew, not with a publicist. He came alone in a regular car, wearing jeans and a plain blue sweater, carrying a small bag from a toy store 2 blocks away. He sat with Sophia for 40 minutes. He let her show him every dinosaur sticker on the tablet Maya had borrowed from a neighbor. He listened to her explain with complete seriousness why the Ankylosaurus was underrated and far more interesting than the T-Rex. He laughed in a way that people who knew him said they hadn't heard in years, since before he'd lost his own daughter, his youngest, to a cardiac condition 15 years ago, a fact he had never discussed publicly, a wound he had carried quietly through every charity gala and every Forbes cover and every hospital wing that bore his name. When he stood to leave, Sophia grabbed his hand. "Are you going to come back?" she asked. Daniel looked at this 7-year-old girl with her dinosaur facts and her sticker collection and her whole ferocious little life still ahead of her, and he said, "Yeah, kid, I'll come back." He did. He came back during her first week of treatment in Boston, when she was scared and the hospital was unfamiliar and Maya was stretched so thin she'd stopped eating regular meals. He came back when the treatment started working, when the doctors used words like responding and progress and cautiously optimistic. He came back on the afternoon Sophia stood up on her own in the rehabilitation room and promptly informed the physical therapist that dinosaurs would have been excellent at physical therapy because of their powerful legs. The story leaked eventually, the way these things do. A nurse mentioned it to someone. Someone mentioned it online. And within a week it was everywhere. Journalists called Daniel's publicist. His publicist said he had no comment. When a reporter managed to catch him outside an event and asked why he'd done it, Daniel stopped, walking and considered the question, with the same directness he brought to everything. "A mother asked me to help her child," he said. "I had the ability to help. That's the whole story." It was not, of course, the whole story. The whole story included a rainy evening and a woman, brave enough to grab a stranger's arm. It included a little girl who loved Ankylosaurus and stuck animal stickers on everything she could reach. It included a man who had spent 15 years funding research and building wings and writing checks, quietly trying to do for other families what no one had been able to do for his. Sophia Cortez was discharged from Boston Children's Hospital on a Tuesday in early spring. She walked out on her own feet, holding a stuffed Ankylosaurus that Daniel had mailed to her room the week before, a card tucked under its arm in handwriting that was surprisingly unsteady, for a man so certain about everything else. The card said, "For the bravest person I know, don't let anyone tell you the Ankylosaurus isn't cool." Maya kept the card in a frame above the kitchen table, next to the refrigerator covered in stickers, in the apartment where the lights stayed on, where her daughter grew loud and curious and alive.